In 1686, the cannons of the Qing Empire thundered against the Russian stronghold of Albazin for several grueling weeks. The Kangxi Emperor, determined to halt the encroachment of the Tsardom of Russia in the frigid expanse of eastern Siberia, had dispatched his forces to capture the fortress. Despite their numerical superiority, relentless bombardments, and ferocious assaults, the Qing troops struggled to seize the fortress. This wasn't due to a lack of discipline or capability, but rather because of a stark clash between Eastern siege tactics and the design of a Western-style star fortress. Unlike their Eastern counterparts, Western star fortresses, with their bastions and angular designs, were built to withstand artillery assaults. Chinese siege strategies, rooted in their own historical and architectural traditions, differed significantly. While European methods relied on systematic trench digging, bastions, and the use of heavy artillery, Chinese tactics evolved to combat their unique fortifications. This video will delve into the reasons behind these divergent approaches to siege warfare, contrasting early modern Chinese strategies with European practices. Albazin lay in subarctic Siberia, nestled in the fertile valley of the Amur, or Heilong, River. In the 17th century, this region marked a contested borderland between Qing China and the Russian Tsardom. The Tsarist Empire claimed Albazin in 1672, transforming it into a modern star fortress modeled after the Italian design, a style characterized by bastions that countered artillery's destructive potential. This architectural innovation emerged in Europe during the 15th and 16th centuries, driven by the increasing efficacy of cannons that rendered traditional medieval walls obsolete. These new fortifications became integral to a specific form of siege warfare, where systematic approaches to trench construction and artillery placement aimed to overcome a fortress's defenses. The hallmark of these European fortresses was their ability to withstand heavy bombardments, while providing overlapping fields of fire, leaving no blind spots for attackers to exploit. Assaulting such a structure directly was nearly impossible, forcing attackers to rely on elaborate trench systems to inch closer without being decimated. This highly organized method of siege warfare reached its zenith in the 17th century, perfected by French engineer Sébastien Leprestre de Vauban. Under his guidance, sieges became a calculated process where determination and methodical execution ensured the fall of even the most formidable fortresses. China's approach to siege warfare, however, developed along an entirely different trajectory. Though black powder weapons had been in use since the 13th century, heavy artillery, akin to that used in Europe, never became widespread. Tonio Andrade, a historian specializing in Chinese military history, suggests that this divergence may be attributed to differences in wall construction. While medieval European walls were thin and high, leaving them vulnerable to artillery, Chinese city walls were massive earthen ramparts, resilient against cannon fire. As a result, there was little need for heavy artillery in China, as it proved ineffective against their robust fortifications. For centuries, Chinese siege tactics revolved around overcoming these imposing walls, which were often essential to city defenses. The Chinese character for city, Cheng, is the same as that for wall, underscoring their centrality. From as early as 3000 BCE in the Longshan culture, walls exceeded 10 meters in thickness, and by the Qing Dynasty, 1368-1644, nearly every significant town was fortified with massive ramparts. These structures, composed of tamped earth faced with brick, were remarkably effective at absorbing the energy of cannon fire, unlike their European counterparts, which shattered upon impact. Consequently, Chinese artillery, whether catapults or cannons, was primarily employed to target enemy personnel and infrastructure rather than to breach walls, should you wish to explore these ancient walls in person. Modern connectivity issues may pose a challenge. Poor Wi-Fi networks and exorbitant roaming fees are common obstacles for travelers. Enter today's sponsor, Saily eSIM. Saily offers affordable, reliable eSIM plans across over 150 countries, ensuring seamless internet access wherever you go. By opting for Saily's 5 GB plan, you can save upwards of $35 compared to traditional providers. Simply select your plan on their website, download their app, and activate it before traveling. With Saily, you'll avoid unexpected roaming fees and the need to rely on untrustworthy local networks. Visit saily.com/sanderhoman and use the code SANDERHOMAN for 15% off your first purchase. Returning to the evolution of Chinese military technology, it wasn't until the 16th century that European-style heavy artillery gained traction in China. Known as Red Barbarian cannons, Hong Yi Pao, these weapons were introduced by Dutch and British traders. With their long refinement in Europe, these cannons finally posed a significant threat to Chinese walls. However, adapting to these new technologies, both in deploying them and defending against Western-style fortifications, took time. Military manuals from the period document the gradual assimilation of these ideas, and some officials like Ma Wai-cheng even experimented with building star fortresses to protect their territories. Despite these advancements, the Qing forces struggled to overcome Western-style fortresses like Albazin. In 1686, after the Tsardom of Russia had rebuilt and fortified Albazin, following its initial capture and destruction, the Qing army faced a formidable challenge. The fortress, now reinforced with earthen ramparts and bastions interwoven with roots for added strength, presented a nearly impenetrable defense. When General Lang Tan returned with 3,000 soldiers and a significant artillery train, the defenders, despite being vastly outnumbered, used the fortress's design to offset their disadvantage. The siege began in July 1686. Lacking familiarity with European trench tactics, the Qing forces resorted to building gabions, earth-filled baskets, for cover and attempted repeated frontal assaults. One notable attack on the night of July the 23rd illustrated the challenges they faced. Under cover of cannon fire, Qing infantry advanced, but were met with withering resistance. The defenders' gunfire was so intense that it enveloped the battlefield in smoke, sowing confusion among the attackers. Forced to retreat, the Qing troops suffered heavy losses, while the defenders launched a counter-offensive, capturing prisoners and further demoralizing their foes. Unlike their European counterparts, who would have methodically advanced using parallel trenches and saps, the Qing forces found their traditional methods ineffective. Their assaults were not only costly, but also strategically flawed, underscoring the difficulties of adapting to a type of warfare unfamiliar to them. Faced with these challenges, General Lang Tan sought alternative strategies, including prolonged bombardment and further experimentation with siege tactics. However, the Siege of Albazin remains a poignant example of the clash between two distinct military traditions, each shaped by the unique historical and cultural contexts of East and West.